Hey everyone, in this episode we'll be doing a real rewind and talking about Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition. We recently attended a Zack Snyder screening of this movie, so we're going to talk about why we loved it. This is episode 130 of the Reel-ists podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the Reel-ists podcast. My name is Oscar.
And I'm Donnie.
And we have our producer here, Ruben, as well.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. This is going to be a fun episode. Why are you laughing?
Because Ruben said hi and you're just like, it just seemed like you kind of, it just seemed like you kind of ignored him. Like, anyways, thank you for listening.
It was
No, I know.
Gosh, just starting the episode.
Go ahead. Do you?
No, that's the end of the episode.
Ruben said hi, everyone.
Technical. They can hear. They've heard. They know.
They know he's going to say hi.
Know, right. Stop treating them like they're the first-time listeners. Gosh.
Go ahead.
But we're going to start this from the top. Just kidding. So, yes, welcome everyone to this fun episode. We have a real rewind for everyone. What are you laughing at? My gosh.
No, go ahead.
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like I'm doing great.
No, you're doing great. This is going to be a fun episode. Let's go. I'm ready.
It's a real rewind for Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Yes, we attended what people are calling on Twitter SnyderCon, which was just the Zack Snyder. I don't know. Zack Snyder.
Are people calling it that?
Yeah,
Dang.
that's a hashtag.
All right, cool.
It was a director's cut weekend of Zack Snyder presenting 3 movies, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He did Dawn of the Dead, Watchmen, and Batman v Superman.
I so wish we could have been there Friday night because Dawn of the Dead has, and it's so funny because I've loved Dawn of the Dead for years, like since the year it came out. Had no idea that he directed it until like within the last month. So that was like pleasant.
Thursday.
Yeah, I know. But it was really cool. It's really cool to. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off topic here.
But no, it's fair. So yeah, so that's what prompted this. We had the opportunity to see the movie with the director himself, which was pretty cool. There was also a Q&A with him and other collaborators on the film, from the stunt coordinator to Batman stunt double to the editor to the what was the other one? It was like sound mixer, I believe, and the cinematographer.
Yes.
So yeah, pretty
really
cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool Q&A for that moment. It was short, unfortunately, but.
That was my first real Q&A with like a panel from a film, like
filmmakers. Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah,
that was really cool. I'd love to I see why people shell out cash to go to those things, and
right, we
got to do more of that.
But it was just like one of those experiences where this was my first as well. So it's not like I go to all these other ones, and Zack Snyder's just like the 10th person I've seen. But it's like it's pretty awesome to see like someone you see, throughout the entire promotion of the movie and through all the news outlets and social media, but to actually see someone that made the movie, that because of him we have a movie to watch, that was pretty awesome to see and witness. So thank you, Zack Snyder. I don't think you're listening to the episode, but
if you are, thank you very much.
Right, we were there. Thank you for that weekend. We enjoyed that Sunday. Great food, great movie.
Yeah, great drinks.
But yeah, so Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. So that's the movie we're going to be talking about here. More so just on this movie has a lot of personal connections for both of us. It was a movie we went to go see a trailer for. I made you go with me, but that you went.
I was kidnapped. I was forced to go.
So for some reason, I guess this was trying to become a thing. Warner Brothers did an exclusive sign up to go see the trailer premiere at a theater in IMAX.
San Francisco is where we went.
In San Francisco. So we went to go see that, and they gave us 2 IMAX tickets to see the movie in the same theater. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I didn't see it with you at that theater. It was like a transition. But
our friend Eric did.
But yes, our friend Eric
and I did.
Yes, you guys went to go see it. I saw it here in.
We took a picture of you. We took a picture of you.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. I remember that picture. I think Eric sent it to me.
We sat it in a seat. We were like, no, you can't sit there. Our friend's there in spirit.
It was a full house, and you telling someone they can't.
He's like, that's my seat, bro.
But yeah, so I saw it in Southern California with Daniel. So I saw it with someone at least. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and now we see it again together.
But we see the extended cut, the ultimate cut. Sorry,
which was pretty cool. That I didn't know why they called it that, and so Zack Snyder said that the reason why they called it the Ultimate Edition was because they didn't want the marketing for the theatrical version to be that it was edited by the studios, like it was like modified by them. They kind of wanted to be like, no, Zack, that's your version. Like just say that's your version, and there's more that we have for the movie. So that's why it was called Ultimate Edition, which was interesting because all the other ones were director's cuts. But when you hear director's cut, you usually imply that the director is giving you the full version he wanted and not the one that was modified for the theatrical release. So.
Right.
But yeah, so with all that being said, with the lengthy introduction I think we've ever had for Real Rewind, what are your thoughts on Batman v Superman overall, just to start us off on the movie?
It was dope. It was dope. I'm not gonna lie. I remember even seeing the trailer when we went to see the trailer in SF, and they showed it to us twice.
Yes.
They're like, we're gonna play it. Okay, we're gonna show it to you guys one more time. And I remember how good of a trailer I thought it really was. Like I'm one who really does like trailers and really relies on those to get me. I mean, that's what the point of a trailer is, but. I'll go back and like some of my favorite trailers I'll just watch on YouTube, like, the Moonlight trailer, the, whatever, the La La Land trailer. This was one of those trailers that I really loved, and it really like gives me goosebumps the way it was just edited and the music that goes along with it and just the shots that we got. So I was super pumped for the film, and the film, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was so fun. If you've listened to this podcast by now, you know that Amy Adams is number one for me. So, I mean, the fact that she was a part of this story was incredible. Yes. But, I mean...
She had some scenes cut out in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, she did, and I didn't appreciate that. Who would I go to? Warner Brothers for that?
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate that, Warner Brothers. We beefing.
We beefing for another reason, though.
But, yeah, man, I mean, this film was really, really just so epic. And Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill?
Yes.
I can never say his last name right for some reason. Both as Superman and Batman were just so cool. And then this is where we got to see Wonder Woman for the first time.
Yes.
And I was telling you that when because this is like, when did this movie come out? 2016?
2016, March 25th. This is actually the day, the third
Today's the 3-year anniversary.
Yeah, the 25th.
Yeah, so I was telling you, I didn't record it. Oh yeah, didn't think about that.
We didn't record Thursday, apparently.
No, I was telling you that I didn't know anything about Wonder Woman, about the film that was coming out, anything. So
right.
I was like clean slate. So I was telling you, it's funny because when we finally when Batman and Superman are face to face with that Doomsday, and then Wonder Woman just comes blaring out of nowhere with her music playing, and that was what I was like, oh my god, it's Wonder Woman, because I could recognize her costume. But I was saying it's funny because she was all up and through the film throughout the whole time, and everybody who really knows superheroes and comics and things like that knew that was Wonder Woman. But here I am just like, oh, this is a pretty lady. Oh, they sure keep showing her a lot. I wonder how she's gonna add to the story. And then I'm like, oh, she's Wonder Woman. Okay. And it was cool too, because when we did see it in IMAX, obviously when she came in when she appeared in that scene, the whole audience just went crazy, like crazy. They lost it. So that was really fun to be a part of. But I really like this film. I really like that it really, one of the themes of it is kind of the fear of this ultimate power, and Batman is kind of really just, I mean, you can tell me more about this, but I don't know if he really hates him or if it's just, I mean, I know there's fear there because it's this uncontrollable power, and it's like nobody can control it. And one of the things that the film really talks about too is the kind of ethical and moral stature and And kind of just because we have something that is so powerful, does that mean he should be able to go around and play God or play, jury and executioner? And they really kind of debate that throughout the film, specifically with Holly Hunter's character in the film.
Yeah.
So I really like that because I really feel like it grounds the film in a realistic sense, because we're dealing with superheroes and otherworldly beings, but it kind of reminds me of The Dark Knight, how it takes a kind of superhero concept, but it really brings it down to a level that we can really relate to and really just kind of view as something that can really happen. And I think that the conversations that they were having in the court hearings and, the senators talking and all of those elements within the film made it feel really real.
Yes.
And something that we could really grasp onto and really go, holy moly, like this is what it would be like if Superman and Batman really existed in the world.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I rambled there, but
it's okay.
I really like this film.
Yes. No, I mean, 100% on a lot of things you're talking about, I agree with. But just to give it a formal introduction in case someone is still like, what is this movie that you talk of? Where were you in 2016, first of all? Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, where fearing the actions of Superman are left unchecked, Batman takes on the Man of Steel while the world wrestles with what kind of a hero it really needs.
Bam.
As it stars Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Jesse Eisenberg, Diane Lane, Lawrence Fishburne, Jeremy Irons, Holly Hunter, Gal Gadot.
Dang, it is an all-star cast. Wow, I know there's a ton of familiar faces, but you just read all those names, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Then directed by Zack Snyder. Which we were there at the event. Just saying.
That was so cool. He was right there.
We have photos.
Like, we spent a lot of time in the same room with that guy.
Yeah.
Very
that
cool.
Was very cool. We saw a 3-hour movie with him in the building.
Yeah.
Which supposedly, and this is according to people on Twitter that were there as well, that we didn't interact with. But anyways, that his wife was saying that this was the first time that both of them had seen this movie with their fans. And mind you, I mean, they went through some tragic stuff. Their daughter committed suicide in early 2017.
Wow.
And so it was like, it was been a rough year. And then the whole Justice League,
debacle.
Shambles. Yeah, all that happened. So this was like the first time they're still seeing this movie with fans. And to hear the excitement and the joy that they have for this movie and the love they have for this movie just gives them that joy that, they still made this movie. And despite, the negative critical reception it got and the box office, that was considered a flop when it's kind of not really. I mean, it didn't make the $1 billion, but that's a whole different story. Anyways, but like it was still nice to know that this has impacted on some people. So it was really cool to hear that, that it was, for them, it was a really positive reception to be able to hear the fans.
That almost brought a tear to my eye. So, I had no idea that they went through that, but that's great. And
yeah, so I mean, it was really awesome to have that experience. But
I mean, just to see, everyone that was there yesterday, and to hear, throughout the whole film, they were just shouting like, "We love you, Zack," and things like that, or like every scene they were cheering for and like applauding for,
as boss on like social media when they're referring to him.
Yeah, he definitely had some die-hard loyal fans, which is
some
so
people were
cool.
there for all 3 movies.
Yeah, some people were there for the whole weekend, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, this one, it took a while, and I will admit this, it took a while for me to truly embrace this film for what it is. And the reason, because at first, when I saw this movie, I loved the score, I loved the visuals, I was loving all of that. But it hit me where this wasn't the Batman and Superman first encounter I had imagined in my head. After reading the comics and seeing the animated show, to me I was like, this is the ideal version they're gonna meet up with, and this is how the general audience would love them. And that's not what it was. Personally, I wouldn't have made them fight each other in their first live action appearance together. But so like when I first saw it, I was like, that's not kind of how I would do it. Wonder Woman was cool. I loved it that she was in it. It was the form of the team coming together. But I was just like, there was just some things I was just like, I wouldn't have done that in my interpretation.
Yeah.
And so I was always hesitant on really embracing the movie. But the thing was, I would still find myself going to watch the scenes from the movie, going to watch the score or listen to the score. And it wasn't until I stopped saying, well, stop talking about what your version was and start watching what was presented, that I was truly able to see the complete like story and really, really, really love the complete story that it gives you. The whole argument about like, you know, Superman being viewed as a god and, you know, and how do you manage that? Like, I remember, like, I love the scene when they're having that little debate as Superman is like doing heroic actions, and one of the reporters says, well, what would you do if you had to tell, you know, you're a parent that we could have saved your little girl if Superman was allowed? And it's like those questions, it's like, damn, like, you know, the government's trying to control it, but at the same time, you know, that could be the thing. So I really, really came to appreciate the film, and it became one of my favorites of all time. Once I took away my little fanboy, like, no, it should have been this, you know, and it really started to appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, it's great all around. The score, the visuals, the fight sequences, and I get, and the big debate about this movie, more so than anything else, is that Marvel was doing its own thing, and at this point, it is at Captain America: Civil War, so it's built a foundation. It's had probably 10 films, a little over 10 films by that point. So to have the second movie from DC be Batman fighting Superman and introducing Wonder Woman, and then the movie following this one is going to be,
and then it even introduced
and
teased that Aquaman and Cyborg and the Flash,
right? And then it's going to be Justice League. That was going to be like, then people were just like, no, they're rushing it, they're doing this, and so that's where a lot of that critical hate started to come. Well, not critical, but like that more personal hate started to come towards the DC movies. Where that impact critical people's like reception and stuff, you know, it's up to that individual, but that was the start of it. So once that happened, people started to view this movie as like, oh, it's bad, you know, it's not good because blah, 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 they rushed it. I would have liked to have known what Batman would have been like before he fought Superman. And then you start to hear what Zack Snyder was doing. Zack Snyder was not necessarily doing what Marvel was doing. He was just building his own little story that would have concluded. Like, it would have been a definitive end. It wouldn't have been where, you know, you have 20 movies in and now you're finally getting Justice League versus, you know, whatever the big bad, like Thanos and that kind of equivalence. So it's kind of like that kind of thing where it was doing its own thing, but the general audience / fans wanted it to be DC's version of Marvel, where they wanted every superhero movie to come out first and then the team up. So it's kind of like one of those. But then
they would have just been replicating, like doing the same blueprint that Marvel was doing,
right? And
then you still would have gotten. I mean, it's like you can't. There's no way. Had they went that route and did that, and like everyone got an origin story, and then they started kind of crossing paths and teaming up, then they would have been like, "Oh, they're just totally copying Marvel."
Exactly,
and it's not as good. Or you know, people would have said that. So it's like
one of the things was Zack Snyder's story arc was just going to be 5 films. And you were going to have a spinoff of some of the big heroes, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, you know, just to give them their own little spinoff. But after he finished his 5-story arc, that would have been the end of it. Then Warner Brothers could have recasted, could have done like, you know, their own, you know, Marvel Cinematic Universe in that sense. But Warner Brothers was seeing Marvel's, you know, praise and love and box office numbers. That's all they wanted. So that's where the interference started to happen. So like, yeah, this is the last true movie that Zack Snyder did of what he was going to do before studio interference from everything on moving forward. So, and the thing is, you can still watch this movie on its own and truly enjoy for what it is, unlike the same way that you can say for some of the Marvel movies. Like some of them, you probably have to see the first 2 to get, you know, why, you know, that's happening. Yeah. So it's kind of one of the things where it's like it's its own. At this point, it should be its own movie and view it as its own movie rather than this was the second movie of the DC universe. Of films.
Absolutely. I mean, I view it as its own movie. I don't look at it and go, oh, I don't know what's going on. Oh, I need to go watch the first one or anything like that. I mean, I think it's a good standalone. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see it conclude because. I think it was well done. The story really is a strong story, and
it's only gonna rock your boat if you like the idea of that topic. If you're interested in exploring, well, if Superman and Batman were real, how would we perceive them as, and that kind of detail. But if you're looking for, no, I just want to see Batman take down the Joker, who is planning to release Joker gas on the public, and everyone's gonna die laughing hysterically or something like that, then obviously a different movie is what you wanted from the beginning,
right?
So that was just, I don't know, that wasn't even a review, but that was just a full scope of this like movie being in this whole like tough situation.
Yeah,
but it's like, as a movie itself, it really is a really well done movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so many great scenes, so many great moments.
There are a ton of great scenes and great moments. I remember when I saw the trailer, and it's the end scene of the trailer where they're both running at each other, right before they clash.
That was in the trailer we got to see.
Yeah. And I remember going, oh my god, like that was such an epic scene to watch, and before I was like, how the hell? Because we know it's Superman, he's super strong, super like fast, like he's a god pretty much. He can all powerful being. So it's like, how is the very human Batman gonna go up against that? And I just remember I was really thinking like, well, what could he like? What's he gonna do? Like, what trick is he gonna pull out of his pocket to counteract all of that strength and all of that speed and all of that God-like talent, and I liked what he did have. Obviously something with kryptonite was going to be involved,
right?
So when we
use it as gas form,
and use it as gas form, and then he had the spear. So it's like but I even like when he first shot that first kryptonite bullet, I was like, kill Superman. Like I didn't
when Superman did his punch and Batman just like stopped it. And that's
because it was
and you see Superman's face of like,
he's
what?
like, because he's not used, he's not, he's like, are you what? Like, and and even in that whole battle, the whole time I was thinking, I was like, I couldn't, that's a question. Oh, sorry, my brain's spazzing right now because there's a question I wanted to ask you, but I'll save that for after this. But I was going that whole battle. I was going, Superman must really be kind of, his mind must be really going through it right now, because he's he's probably thinking like, oh, Batman, like he's a man, like I can totally take him. So for him to really be getting I don't know,
his butt kicked
essentially. Sure. It must have been really I don't know. I want to say humbling. I would hope it would be humbling, but it probably wasn't. Probably just enraged him even more. But I was going to say, when you first saw the trailer, and it's Batman v Superman, I mean, what side were you on? Did you pick a side?
I wasn't. I really wasn't picking a side, only because to me both of them.
You knew that they were. You knew that they were both gonna.
Right.
Team up in the
so
end,
eventually, they were gonna become good partners. I always figured that was gonna be the conclusion to it. But I never had a like who would win, Batman v Superman, like side of it, just because my personal love for both of them are the same. If it was like Flash versus Superman, it would be Flash. If it was like Flash versus Batman, it would be Flash. There's clear, favorites sometimes, but for these two, I've always just enjoyed their individual stories, and kind of, you would think Batman, yes, because that's us in a way, we're going against the other underdogs, so I guess if I had to pick a side, I didn't pick a side, like the entire promotion of it. I was just like, who cares? We're getting the movie. But if I had to pick,
give me the film,
I would want Batman to win only because of that underdog that all against all odds you can still come up. I mean, did he cheat is like an argument, used something that would depower the other person.
I mean, don't we all cheat? I mean, isn't that what all these superheroes are doing? Aren't they? I feel
like
cheating?
That's like the equivalent to someone someone attacking someone and then like using those like knuckle brass or using a knife and stabbing or something, like I feel like it's that kind of equivalent.
I mean, what's Batman? That shouldn't even be an argument, because if Batman doesn't use kryptonite, Batman's not going to win point blank. Period. Like there's nothing.
I mean, to Batman's credit, he came up with ideas of how to stop Superman.
Right. So that should count for something.
Right. And Superman just thought it was going to be an easy, like, let me just go punch one and I'm out.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's why I was more so team Batman. I mean, I was, I didn't want one to kill the other. Obviously, they're both superheroes.
Right.
No one's the villain. But I was like, Batman, put him in his place. Like, check your boy. Because he's just real cocky and just knows that he can just, do whatever he wants. But show him that, you got some tricks up your sleeve too. So that's what I was hoping for. And that's what we were getting. And he could have killed Superman before Lois Lane came and intervened. Yeah. And was, he was like, but yeah. So.
It was actually pretty cool to get the insight on the Martha scene, which was one of the scenes that were pointed out and made fun of. Because it was like, oh, his mom was named Martha, so they both had something in common. So Batman stopped.
Yeah.
But to hear Zack Snyder at the Q&A explain kind of the thought process for it was, we know how to get them to fight.
Yeah.
But how do we get them to
stop and join forces?
And so the whole idea about seeing Superman as human and seeing that despite him over here about to lose his life, he still wants to do one last heroic thing, which is to save Martha. So it was really nice to kind of get that behind the scenes scope of that scene being made. Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there was there was that scene that was controversy, and then there was also it just went blank.
The dream sequence.
The dreams, yes, the nightmare sequence. Yeah. A lot of people were just like, I don't get that, and it's because that was the one scene, and I would argue that if Zack Snyder had known what happens after in terms of the
studios, and he probably wouldn't have put it in.
I don't think he would have put it in
because it wouldn't. Yeah, because he obviously had a clear plan. He had a plan. I don't want to say clear plan, but he had a purpose for that scene.
And it was supposed to pay off.
He was planting a seed.
Right. It was supposed to pay off in Justice League.
Yeah, but he didn't get the chance to reap the harvest of that.
Right. So I would say that was the other one, because at that point, everyone's just like, well, why? I don't get it. Is that a dream? Was that a... And it was one of those that we couldn't answer at the moment. We were making our speculation, but it was going to be... It pays off in the same way that, the Infinity Stones were being, collected by Thanos kind of thing. It was that kind of it wasn't as, obviously there was no movie in any of the Marvels that had this random future scene, but it was Zack Snyder trying to do something different.
Yeah.
But so that was the other controversy, and to an extent I can understand that too, because that was the introduction of Flash. You see that little bit of Flash coming, and again, at first that was me with my whole that's not how I would have brought Flash in, but okay. But yeah, so that was that, and the other part of it was that introducing the rest of the heroes. All in this film, which again is why the subtitle is Dawn of Justice, because it's the
the beginning of the Justice League.
Right. So there was a lot of things that people were nitpicky on it, but I feel like they take that away from the actual entire movie experience in itself. So I feel like if you watch the movie just as it is, not watch it as part 2 of a 5-part series. At this point, it won't be a part 5, but just watch it as it is, you probably will appreciate it a little bit more. I think. I would hope.
Yeah.
That's what this episode is. Just
that's what we want to leave you with on this episode.
But yeah, so I mean that was one of the things that I can understand the take back at first of well, I don't get why they put that in the movie. Now, 3 years later, I can be like, yeah, maybe they should have left that out. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there was a lot of great moments that I like to think of, including the debate about Superman, the Batman telling Alfred, even if there's a 1% chance, we have to take with absolute certainty.
Yeah,
there's a lot of great little.
When he said that was one of those lines that I'm like, damn. Even if there's a 1% chance, we have to. I was like, just one, but one of those lines that just kind of. Settled.
Or when Lex Luthor was on the helicopter area and
talking about God,
talking to Lois Lane and to Superman.
He said, damn, what did he say?
Which, with Lois or with Superman?
No, with Superman. When he was saying, if there is a God or something,
he cannot be all, if God is all
if God is all good,
he cannot be all powerful.
And if he is all powerful, he cannot be all good.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you guys are going there,
right?
Like, all right.
And I was just, and it's one that I'm just like, damn, is that true? Like, can you wait?
No, it's not true.
but
no, it was a heavy line.
I also liked the after Superman came back and didn't kill Batman, and he was like, if man couldn't stop you, the devil would do it. And obviously the Doomsday.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there are people that are, try to hate on this movie, and one of the big aspects is Doomsday, the big reveal. Mm-hmm. And again, I can understand why people are just like, that wasn't needed, because I kind of would have, if you just imagine it, I mean, yes, you didn't get the Wonder Woman moment in this part, but if that part was removed with the creature coming out the third act and doing its little damage, and they're trying to stop it, and it just concluded where Batman and Superman realized that they shouldn't fight, and they're on the same page, and they capture Lex Luthor and take him to jail, and that was the end of it, and Superman doesn't die, which is something else, that probably would have been maybe a good better ending than what we got of the whole, here's Doomsday, here's Superman dying, now here's a funeral of Superman dying, this is only the second movie and Superman died.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the whole the conflict of Lex Luthor basically kidnapping Martha and forcing Superman to try to kill Batman and all this and that whole battle, I think that in of itself could have been the climax of the story, and right. I think we would have felt satisfied with it.
I agree.
And I felt like with bringing in Doomsday, that kind of was like a little overload a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessary.
I mean, it was, we got the Wonder Woman introduction.
Right, and I don't know how we could have gotten that. Maybe, I mean, I don't know how we could have gotten that if we didn't bring Doomsday in, but do.
That would have been, I mean, you could have had that where Wonder Woman would have just been saved for Justice League. And then when you get the reveal and you're just like, I mean, maybe like in your like perspective, like when you saw the movie and you're like, she was in Batman v Superman, like that's crazy, I didn't put that together. Maybe, I don't know, maybe.
Or maybe we still would have. I mean, we wouldn't have got that epic introduction in her in her full armor and suit with the music blaring. But I mean, because we did figure it out when Bruce emailed her and he was like, I know who you are, basically.
That's
and
true.
Her a picture of herself.
That is true.
So we would have still known that was Wonder Woman.
Yeah, you're right.
It just wouldn't have been in like such an in your face, like, this is Wonder Woman, kind of thing.
Exactly.
But
I agree. I agree, and that's the one thing that I think I'm just like, it could have been left out. Doomsday could have been left out, and it didn't also help the fact that he didn't look comic accurate. So then you have people that are just bashing on that it's not even accurate. Like, you didn't even do it right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then the whole Superman dying. Like, that was the other way. Just like, this is only the second movie and you killed, your lead.
But, I mean,
then
paid attention.
But if you just watch this movie separately as its own, like, you can understand like the death of Superman in the movie. Like, you can see like everyone's questioning about this, godlike person, and should he do the right thing? What if he decides to do whatever he wants? And then you have him die, and then you realize what you had.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of I think it was, and maybe it was one of those ideas too, like the world just isn't ready for a Superman, kind of in the sense that well, I had a comparison, but I just drew a blank. But, it's like the world, it's kind of like whenever they say, kind of like us. I was thinking like Jurassic Park, kind of. So I know it's a totally weird reference point, but like, just because we can doesn't mean we should type of thing with the whole recreating dinosaurs. Right. And it's like, the world's not ready to, for this or any film where there's like a super, crazy like technology or power or something that they want to manipulate and use it for mankind. And it's like, the world's not ready for this type of why can't I say it? I'm trying to say kind and type. With the world's not ready for this kind of power. So it was kind of one of those, one of those ideas with Superman. Like, maybe the world wasn't ready for it, and then with him dying, it kind of, it's kind of like, well, don't worry because he's dead. Whether we were ready for it or not, he's dead, and now we don't have him. But and
now we mourn.
Yeah. And that was a whole nother thing too. That kind of, not to say it threw me off or anything, but it was like and I don't. Obviously, it was intentional, but it's like you had this whole conflict throughout the whole film of, do we love Superman? Do we hate Superman? Do we fear him? Is he good? Is he evil? This and that. We don't know. He's so controversial. And then, but when he dies and we treat, they're like, we don't know. Wonder Woman said they don't know how to treat him, so they're going to treat him like a soldier.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's pretty honorable for someone that you were claiming was evil or shouldn't exist or shouldn't be doing what he's doing. That was interesting just in and of itself, the way they handled his death. And really it was very, because that's, what they do for fallen soldiers and someone, where there's a lot of respect and a lot of honor, they want to honor someone. I thought that was interesting.
That would make sense.
But I do like that they handled his death like that in the sense of like he was a fallen soldier, because he was essentially, and he did sacrifice himself for the greater good, which is what soldiers do. So,
and the one thing too was the this entire movie, people were getting the perception that he may not be a good guy because Lex Luthor was sabotaging things and like making it was helping paint this negative picture of Superman. So
kind of skewing the media's perception of him.
Exactly. So that was like, it was unfair to Superman. But so that's pretty much, I think we probably talked about everything we can.
Yeah.
Is there any particular scene? I know I said mine's, but is there...
What was yours?
The moment where you talk about the debate and Superman's doing all the heroic stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's a figure of controversy.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the Batman warehouse scene. That was also pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like that scene. I really like the dream sequence scene, the nightmare sequence. And I know it's like, it was a little puzzling, but it was like... It was one of those things where it's like, oh my God, this is like what it's kind of like, especially when the Flash appeared to him and he was like, Lois Lane is the key. And we're just like, what does that mean? Oh my God. Like, it's like,
right.
Okay. It's like, because it's, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what it means, but we know it's there for a reason. And it's one of those, like, remember this moment because it's going to make sense later down the line, or it was supposed to.
Right.
Essentially. So that was one of my favorite scenes. And then just them just beating the crap out of each other. It was like, it's what we came for, right?
True.
So,
that is true.
Watching that happen was cool. And yeah, that was probably those scenes.
Yeah. I will say, I wish there was more of them together, like more Batman Superman scenes together. Because you only get 2 scenes of them together, no, 3 kind of. You get the initial first time they meet, and Superman tells him, Batman's dead. Consider this as mercy, and storms off. And Batman does the famous line, do you bleed?
Yeah.
You get the nightmare sequence where evil Superman is going to kill Batman. And then you get the whole third act fight sequence / fighting Doomsday. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that was like, it would have been nice if we had just gotten more of like them meeting each other and hating each other. But that's just personal. Again, that's going back into personal taste. But overall, still a solid film. I think it's one of the better DC films in my perspective that's been out. So I would love to get a director's cut of Justice League. I'm just gonna end it with that. I mean, that's the only thing. I'm just saying.
Release
the Snyder cut.
Release the Snyder cut.
But I mean, clearly you saw there was demand in it. Yes.
Oh yeah, you're not the only one, man. I'll tell you, there's a whole group of you
trending on Twitter. Zack Snyder confirmed it. It does exist. So
yeah, he just
Warner Brothers just has to release it. And we'll be there on day 1 when it. But yeah, so hopefully everyone, you enjoyed this episode. You can leave us your thoughts on our social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Team Reel-ists. That's Team REELASTS, no dash. We do hope you can review us on iTunes or leave some comments on YouTube. I would definitely appreciate all the feedback you can give us, all the criticism feedback you can give us. But yes, and thank you too for tuning into this Real Rewind. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope, if anything, you want to go see the movie now, maybe?
Go watch Batman v Superman, right. Dawn of Justice.
Perfect. Yeah, but yes, thank you for everyone listening to the episode. Have a good one.